Hello students of Standard 9. Today we are going to learn a new chapter, our Constitution. This will be your chapter number 1 from your civics part. In this we are going to talk about the definition of our Constitution, the background, the history of the writing of our Constitution and certain important features of our Constitution. So let us start with the first part, that is the definition of our Constitution. What is Constitution? As per the definition given in your textbook, a constitution is a framework of fundamental principles within which a system of government operates. It is the basic ideas, laws which are framed on with the help of which the government operates. Now let us try to understand for whom these laws are made and how they are used. Now, it is a set of written rules and laws within which define the position and powers of three organs of our government. Okay, it tells the position and powers of three organs of our government, that is legislature, executive and judiciary, as well as it also defines the powers of all governments at all levels. Okay, it tells us about the powers of central level government, it tells us about the state level as well as local level government. Now it also tells us about the relationship between the individual and the state. State means government, central, local or state government, but relation between every domicile or the citizen of India and the government. Now who can be called as the domicile of India? The basic rules which we have are: a person who was born in India will be considered as domicile of India. Either of whose parents was in India will be considered as domicile of India, or who has been ordinarily resident in India for not less than 5 years becomes the citizen of India. Okay, for every country we have some different rules. So whoever comes from that country and wants to become the citizen of India, they must at least stay in India for 5 years. Okay, and then they can apply for the citizenship of India. That rules changes as per the country. Now let us try to understand the next part, that is the framing of our constitution. That is, we are going to talk about the background of our constitution, how and when it was written. For that, let us try to understand the first term, that is the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly, when we speak about, it is the assembly formed to write the constitution. That is the rough definition of Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly for the Constitution of India was formed in the year 1946, before our independence. In the beginning there were 389 members in our Constituent Assembly, and we see that after partition around 90 members went to what we call modern day Pakistan and Bangladesh. So the total number after partition was 299 members in the Constituent Assembly. Now the first meeting of this Constituent Assembly was held in the year 1946 on 9th of December, and after 2 days Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was the first president of India, was elected as the permanent president of this Constituent Assembly. Now let us try to understand the next part. There were many members in this Constituent Assembly, members like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, K.M. Munshi, H.N. Kunzru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and C. Gopalachari. This one of are the prominent names which we'll find in the Indian freedom struggle. They were part of this Constituent Assembly. Out of this Constituent Assembly, a committee was formed which had the job of drafting down or writing down the constitution and framing the constitution in proper words. This group was called as drafting committee. This drafting committee was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of this drafting committee. Now this constituent assembly, after lots of debates and discussions and lots of amendments, after 2 years, 11 months and 17 days, adopted the Constitution of India. This adoption of Constitution of India was made on 26th November 1949, and on 26th January 1950 this constitution was put into force. Okay, I will repeat that. The adoption of the constitution was done in the year 1949 on 26th November, and on 26th January 1950 the constitution was put into practice, or it was put into force. Now why 26th January? Let us try to understand with the help of the picture given in the PowerPoint presentation. Now in 1929 the Indian National Congress had adopted one resolution. This resolution was adopted in the Lahore session. Lahore is in modern day Pakistan. In this session, they adopted the resolution of Purna Swaraj, complete independence from the British rule. And it was the Congress Working Committee in 1930 adopted that on 26th January 1930 they will celebrate Purna Swaraj Day at Calcutta, that is modern day Kolkata. That's why this 26th January has been very important in the history of India, and nowadays we all celebrate 26th January as the Republic Day of India. Now let us try to understand what is called as preamble. Now, preamble is the basic idea based on which the Constitution of India has been written. Now we have two pictures of the preamble of Constitution of India. The picture on the left side is the original preamble which was adopted in 1949. But in 1976 what we see is that one amendment was passed, that the amendment was called as 42nd Amendment Act. As per this, 3 words were added in our original preamble. These 3 words are secular, socialist and integrity. Now let us try to understand certain important features of our constitution. The first feature is the single citizenship. To explain that, let me just talk about citizenship rules in United States of America. When we speak about United States of America, every person, the citizen of United States of America, have 2 identities. Identity 1, he will or she will be called as the citizen of United States of America, but as per the states, the citizen also has the state-wise citizenship. When it comes to India, we don't have that method. Whether you are born in Ladakh or Kanyakumari, Kutch or in Arunachal Pradesh, or even in Lakshadweep or Andaman Nicobar Islands, you will be called as citizen of India. You won't have any other citizenship card with you. That is the rule under single citizenship. But there are minor adoptions which were made in India. Okay, we have Citizenship Act of 2005, as per which the citizens of Indian origin, the people whose forefathers were part of India, have been given citizenship of India, but there are little bit different rules and regulation as we compare these citizens with the regular citizens of India. This type of citizens are called as PIO, persons of Indian origin, and OCI, overseas citizens of India. Now, same way, in 1950, when this constitution was put into force, we also adopted something called as universal adult franchise. Before that, in India, there was one system called as communal electorate in India, where community wise the electorate were divided, and only those community people, either based on religion or caste system or ethnicity, they had the right to vote. But after this adoption of our new constitution, joint electorate was established, which means does not matter which religion, which caste, which group, which ethnicity, which gender you come in, we all have the same right of voting. Everyone is equal when we come to voting. Whoever is 18 years and above, the citizen of India, has the right to vote. It does not matter which group you belong to. Same way, we have another feature, that is fundamental rights and duties. Every citizen of India has been given something called as fundamental rights. These are the rights given by the constitution. Under normal circumstances, even the government of India, national level, state level, local level, they cannot take it away. Same way, there are something called as fundamental duties which have been put forward by the constitution, which every citizen of India has to follow. Okay, details of fundamental rights and fundamental duties will be taught to you in chapter number 2 of your civics. Now let us try to understand the next part. Directive principles of state policy. As per the definition of directive principles of state policy, the directive principles are the objectives and ideas which the framers of the constitution wish to be implemented by the future union and state governments of the country while formulating policy and making laws. In other way, those were the direction which the government should be following as per the constitution. The constitution wants certain ways the government should adopt so that the country will run smoothly. Okay, we will talk about this in chapter number 3 of your portion of civics. Let us try to understand what we call as the welfare state. Okay, it also belongs to chapter number 3 of your civics portion. The welfare state. Welfare state is a concept of government in which the state plays a key role in protecting, promotion of mental, physical, social and economic well-being of its citizens. So every provision which is related to the mental health, or you can say physical, society and economy, the facilities which are provided is provided by the government. That is what the welfare state means. We will talk about it in detail when we go to chapter number 3 of your civics. And with this, I will end this chapter. Thank you.